Rumer Willis and Derek Richard Thomas are now facing a serious custody dispute over their 3-year-old daughter, Louetta. And the latest court filings show just how far apart the former couple's accounts have become. Willis is asking for primary physical custody and says Thomas should not have certain custody time, including overnights, without a child custody evaluation. Thomas denies the allegations against him, says the relationship was unhealthy but not abusive, and says he wants to be fully involved in his daughter's life. The reason this story is being revisited now is not just because of a breakup. It is because reported court filings describe a dispute over custody, visitation, parenting concerns, drug testing, and whether the court should bring in an evaluator before longer-term decisions are made. What remains unresolved is how a judge will weigh two sharply different versions of the same relationship. The timeline starts before the current filing. Rumer Willis and musician Derek Richard Thomas began dating in 2022. In December of that year, they confirmed they were expecting their first child together. Their daughter, Louetta Isley Thomas Willis, was born at home on April 18, 2023. By August 2024, Willis publicly confirmed that she and Thomas had split, saying she was single momming it and co-parenting. For verified entertainment updates without the rumors, subscribe to Startline Entertainment. The legal conflict became public after Thomas first filed for custody and visitation. According to the reported documents, he asked for joint legal and physical custody and raised concerns about where the case should be handled after Willis and Louetta spent time in Idaho. Willis disputed his version and said she had offered ways for him to visit their daughter. A later court development reported by Us Weekly said California was found to be the proper venue. The latest filings shift the story from a public breakup to a much more complicated legal dispute. Willis alleges that Thomas engaged in a persistent pattern of emotional abuse and coercive control, including prolonged verbal arguments that she says sometimes happened in front of Louetta or while she and the child were in a car with him. She claims the behavior escalated after Louetta was born and says she spent a long time trying to avoid conflict. Thomas denies those claims. In his own filing, he says he committed no acts of domestic violence or coercive control, and that while the relationship ended because it was unhealthy, it was not defined by emotional attacks, intimidation, or abuse from him. His position is that Willis is obstructing his relationship with Louetta, while Willis says the restrictions she wants are about safety, stability, and the child's best interests. One of the key requests is a California Evidence Code Section 730 child custody evaluation. That is important because an evaluation is not a court ruling that one side is telling the truth. It is a process the court may use when it wants expert information about disputed custody or visitation issues. California court rules describe child custody evaluations as investigations and analyses focused on a child's health, safety, welfare, and best interests. The filings also raise drug use concerns. Willis asked for court-ordered drug testing and alleged Thomas had a history of marijuana use that affected his parenting. Thomas denied being a current marijuana user, acknowledged past legal use, and said he never used marijuana in a way that kept him from properly caring for Louetta. There are also specific parenting allegations in the filings, and they need to be handled carefully because they remain disputed claims. Willis alleged incidents where Louetta fell while Thomas was watching her. Thomas denies mistreating, neglecting, injuring, or traumatizing his daughter, and says there has never been a legitimate question about his ability to meet Louetta's needs while she is in his care. Another part of the dispute involves Thomas's now-fiancée, Lizzie Locke. Willis says she is concerned about Locke being present during Thomas's custodial time because of what Willis describes as his alleged pattern of conflict in relationships. Thomas pushed back, saying there is no factual basis for that objection and claiming Willis is upset by Louetta's affection for Locke. Demi Moore is also part of the reported filings. In a declaration, Moore supported her daughter's account and alleged that she witnessed aggressive behavior from Thomas during and after Rumer's home birth. Thomas's attorney denied the claims and said the case should be handled in court, not in the press. That distinction matters because the public is seeing allegations, responses, and declarations, not a final judicial finding. The broader context is that this case is unfolding while the Willis family is already in a deeply public and emotional season because of Bruce Willis's health. Rumer referenced visits to Los Angeles connected to her father, who has frontotemporal dementia, and alleged that custody exchanges added stress during that period. Thomas disputes her broader claims. What remains unclear is whether the court will order the requested evaluation, whether drug testing will be required, whether Thomas's visitation will change, and whether Willis will receive the primary custody arrangement she is seeking. For now, the confirmed public picture is this. Rumer Willis and Derek Richard Thomas are in an active custody dispute over Louetta. Willis has made serious allegations in court filings. Thomas denies them and says he is a devoted father. Until a judge rules, the responsible way to cover the story is to separate what each side alleges from what the court has actually decided.